the sense of urgency I think you all feel, you're part of this water community of the Colorado River. My only thought related to this is that in times of urgency, we dig deep into our creative, bright, sharp minds. We come together and find solutions that may have been in front of us for a long time, but now become feasible because we're ready. We talked about uncertainty, and if you're putting together many models and each model has uncertainty, then the uncertainties explode, they're huge. And scenario planning is one way of trying to understand and bound that uncertainty. But even it is difficult to comprehend. When you're in a stakeholder engagement workshop and you've presented the outcomes of the Colorado River Basin flow, and it's a spaghetti diagram of lines that all seem to be going up and down, the natural question is, which one's right? And how certain are you in that spaghetti diagram of river flows? How do we reduce uncertainty? Well, one way is to pose in scenarios simpler to understand approaches. Okay? In the Colorado River, it's gonna get warmer. Some models say it's gonna get warm, some models say it's gonna get hot. It's not gonna get cold. So perhaps one scenario distinction is warm versus hot. And that's going to impact primarily the snowfall, the snow melt processes, how long the snow lasts on the landscape, and the spring snowmelt runoff. The precipitation can go either way. You mentioned this. One way of encapsulating or quantifying or getting our heads around that uncertainty is selecting scenarios. Maybe a dry future, a normal future, a wet future, the very desirable, very, very, very wet future. Everyone's drawn to that one. It helps us overcome, to some extent, the temperature effects. So in the scenario planning process, using these types of descriptive tools will help us understand how this translation between the climate force happens to the river flows. Now, as I said, all of these models have uncertainties. And we mentioned earlier, the scientific community is always improving our models. And I have a little story, if I may, about this, and it's related to scenarios as well. So it happens that the global models tell us precipitation. They typically don't tell us if it's snow or rain. I think we care about whether it's snow or rain. And the hydrologist, using a hydrology model, has to somehow take that total precipitation and assign it into all snow, or all rain, or some mixture. That's a big decision, because it either develops a snowpack or it doesn't. Well, it turns out that many models use a very simplified algorithm to do this. When you confront that algorithm with observations, it fails. And a very simple replacement, instead of using air temperature, you use something called the wet bulb temperature that accounts for how warm the air is and how humid the air is. It improves a lot, this partitioning between rain and snow. Getting that right matters. Getting that right matters for the model, getting that right matters for the scenarios that you're presenting. Getting that right matters for the future envelope of Colorado River Basin flows. So this is an example, if you will, of how interacting with stakeholders can pinpoint our focus on something that we've ignored, that we for 25 years used the wrong algorithm, so that these scenarios are more realistic, they can be used. Decisions can be made. Models are imperfect. They have enormous limitations. If a modeler is not telling you they have enormous limitations, they're trying to sell you their model. These limitations need to be confronted daily or weekly or quarterly basis with observations. We won't make much progress if we don't confront models of the many types that we've been talking about today with observations. The merging of the observations with the modeling will help build credibility in the models, that we can trust them for the particular task we're asking them to do, that they're the right model for the right question in the right place, at the right time. Mind you, this is happening in a system that's evolving. The climate system's evolving, our landscapes are evolving, our human uses of these natural landscapes are evolving. For good or for bad, they're changing. So models need to keep up with the change by integrating more and more observations.